Bear has a punchable face.
Everything he does is terrible. Every choice he makes throughout the movie is self-centered. It's never for her. And mind you, the entire time that she's acting the way she's acting, he's upset not because she's trapped in her own body with no autonomy, but because of how it's affecting him.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Obsession is now on digital for $10. How dare they? This movie made more than God.
Is it really on digital for $10 right now?
Yeah, I just pulled it up for note purposes for this episode. I know it's about $10 across the board.
That's actually pretty cheap in comparison. But yeah, we decided this week, because we spent a good bit of time last week going real heavy into political intrigue, we had to couple that by getting back to what we really love to talk about, which is
patriarchy and toxic masculinity.
I was going to say fucking horror, but sure. But sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Patriarchy and toxic masculinity. This week we are covering 2026's Obsession. And you might be saying, well, Brian, it's a little late covering that. First of all, no, it isn't. This is a great fucking movie. We got to put our stamp of approval on it. Yeah. But it gives us an opportunity to talk to one of our favorite people who hasn't been on our podcast a little bit. I'm glad to have her back. We've got Jordan the Dwayne Johnson. Jordan the Gray Witch. It feels fitting because there's a lot of witchy shit in this movie, and of course we got to have our local witch come in. So hey Jordan, how's it going?
Hey guys, so excited to be back for this one.
Yeah, me too. I was a little bit upset because I know, like, you originally put down you want to do the Odyssey, and I was like, I want to do the Odyssey with Jordan too, but like Obsession's a good, like, runner up.
We can do the Odyssey too.
We can. I just, Warner Brothers, if you're listening, please give more screeners to the Pittsburgh area, because you guys aren't doing it. And I know we're not Philly, but we like movies too.
We're the second biggest city in this damn state.
We are.
But interesting, we talk about, the Odyssey, because I'll be interested to see how much this movie makes compared to its budget, and that relates to Obsession and Backrooms as compared to The Mandalorian and Frogurt and Supergirl. These independent horror movies made for peanuts are just destroying into the box office. And these Star Wars and superhero tentpole movies, they're failing. It's a strange time.
People yearn for original art. They don't want big studio blockbusters anymore. We've had how many Marvel movies have we had? How many? I can't even tell you. It's like dozens. But we didn't have a Backrooms. We didn't have an Obsession. This original art, like, the people want practical effects.
Well, they want original stories. Like, I think that's, if anything, like there is no existing IP for Obsession. On paper, it shouldn't work. Like, that's the crazy thing, is this should not be a movie that is knocking it out of the park the way it is. But the thing is that it's picking up word of mouth, and people keep talking about it. Every person I've talked to about this movie has been like, oh my God, it's fucking crazy. Did you see it? So, like, that sort of viral nature is what these YouTubers have figured out. And I mean, I think it's great, because obviously that means that maybe we'll get more movies like this. But the downside of it is, of course, like, the studios, the money people are going to be like, oh yeah, well, can we, basically poach some YouTubers, throw them a couple thousand, and, make bajillions off of them?
It's gonna be exactly that. I mean, we had Backrooms, we had Shelby Oaks, which is the Chris Stuckman movie, and it's just like when Hunger Games came out, and they're like, what other YA stuff can we just steal? Divergent, we'll make that, and and all that other stuff. But like you mentioned, O'Brien, this type of thing has legs, long legs, that it's good. It can keep going week to week, where something like Supergirl or, the Spider-Man movie coming out later really they got to hit it home the first week, because by the second week it's down like 45%, then it's down another 35% from there. So it's really the first 3 weeks for these superhero movies where an idea like this, it could stay in theaters for weeks and weeks and just stay at a steady clip until it makes $400 million on a $1 million budget. No, less than $1 million.
It was less than 1 million.
It was a couple $100,000 for Obsession. I think it was low.
Yeah, it was extremely low. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the movie, I of course want to remind everybody that if you are watching this podcast, you're listening to it, do me a favor and follow us, your favorite podcast app of choice, by going to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. And of course, hey, if you're watching us here on YouTube, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and let us know in the comments. Did you see Obsession? What was your favorite holy shit scene? Because I got like a whole list of holy shit scenes from this movie. So with that said, I do want to go into the synopsis for those who haven't seen it yet. Shame on you. John,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, fucking spoiler alert, man. Jordan, which voice should I do? Should I do movie theater voice, or should I do what I did last week, which was Jar Jar Binks reading this?
Movie theater voice, but in the style of Nicole Kidman.
Oh,
somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
I knew John was gonna
Okay. John, do you want to take a stab at it, or you want me to do it?
Oh, this will be delightful. My me doing an Australian woman. Okay.
Do you want to take a step? Do you have the IMDb up?
I do not.
Okay, go get IMDb up and you do this, because I could do the movie theater voice, no problem. But if you're gonna do your amazing fake Australian
amazing
female accent,
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Do you got it?
All right. Is it after breaking? Is that?
Yeah. Okay.
After breaking the mysterious one-wish willow to win her crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for. I didn't realize I didn't have all of it up. But he soon discovers that some desires come back at a dark, sinister price.
Heartbreak feels good at a place like this. Bravo. I'm going to give you claps on that, John. Claps on that. Good job. Yeah. So, this movie's insane. Like, I think if anything, to start it off with just the discussion, this movie is insane. As you said, Jordan, this movie only had a couple $100,000 to play around with, to be made. It actually was made, I think, 2 years ago. And then
all unknown actors too.
All unknown actors who, let me be honest with you, they're going to be very known. And in my opinion, if they aren't going to win awards, it's criminal. But I mean, this was made relatively cheaply, ended up getting in a bidding war, and has amassed a couple $100 million worth of box office. Now, I think it's important to bring up kind of first, before we even get to like the actual film itself, is a little bit of controversy around the creation of the film. And I'm curious, Jordan, John, your thoughts on this. So are you familiar with kind of the controversy about how this movie was made?
I am not. No.
Okay. So when this movie premiered and got these bajillions of dollars, one of the things that happened was the art director of the film, her name was Sally Choi, had revealed on Instagram that she was only paid about $300 a day making this movie. And she made about upwards of around $6,761 after taxes on this film. And it's kind of led to people asking the question, with an indie film like this, where you don't necessarily know if that movie is going to take off like this film did, is it the responsibility of the director, the distributor, to maybe like pay the people who actually like busted their ass making this movie if it exceeds like these crazy levels of revenue from the film?
There's no friends in show business. It's all in the contract.
It's all in the contract.
And then I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying it's all in the contract, and there is no movie studio that's going to be like, you know what, you guys deserve more. It's never going to happen. Look at the music industry. It's the same. All of these artists, it's their art, it's their music, it's their songs, and guess who owns it? The record label. So when it comes to a movie studio, it's the exact same. They own that. What they paid her, that's in her contract. That's in ink. That's what she signed on for. So whether that movie strikes gold or not is all up to the studio. They're putting the money down. They're putting all that down. This one obviously hit like 10 home runs, of course. They could never have guessed that it would have made hundreds of millions of dollars. So while I believe that she absolutely should get a cut of that, they should all get a bonus. My goodness, even a few million, a million each, it would be nothing for them for the gross of this movie. Never going to happen. Yeah. The studio's never going to do that, ever. Because the people that lead studios, the people that lead these companies are mostly sociopaths. That's how they get in the top of that role. CEOs, they're not going to give away money. You don't become a billionaire by giving it away. Look at Elon Musk.
Yeah. It's like you said, Jordan, it's show business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm completely agree with you. What you said. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is show business.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I put the blame, I don't put it necessarily on the studio because, as you said, the studios don't give a shit. I put the blame on the director. That's who I put the blame on. Because the way I look at it is this: if you're in a bidding war, because this film was, so that tells me that if it's in a bidding war with a bunch of studios, that already communicates to me as the person who's selling the movie, or maybe it's a sales agent or whoever, right? That, hey, this movie is going to do well enough. Maybe it's not going to do crazy, but it's going to do well enough. So if that's the case, then when Curry Barker is inking a deal, because I guarantee you he gets a percentage. There's no universe where the director of the film, who is basically signing away the rights to it, isn't getting a percentage of it. That at some point, he very easily could have said, if this movie reaches X amount of dollars, then a percentage of that gets paid out.
That would have to be recontracted.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like that is something that should have been communicated in the very beginning stages of this movie being picked up. Now, is that outside of the bounds of how movies like this are picked up? I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's all dependent on Curry Barker, his sales agent, and just what those meetings are. And you can't tell me that if it's in a bidding war that no one's going to bend over backward and say, okay, fine, we'll give your crew 5%.
Yeah.
Or because Curry Barker did respond to it. And it has actually opened up, should this sort of idea of profit sharing be communicated early on when trying to get crew? I think it should be. But his response was, well, a lot of people contributed to it. No one really contributed to it as much as me. Oh. And, I put my blood, sweat, and tears to it. It was kind of like a half-ass, yeah, sorry, not sorry. And that's his right. That's his prerogative. He can be that guy. I just know for me, I probably wouldn't want to work for him ever. But yes, that's the behind the scenes of this movie is kind of interesting. The film itself, as I talked about at the top of the episode, holy shit, it's crazy. It talks about a lot of different themes. And the real big theme that I really want to talk about is the nice guy entitlement angle. Jordan,
I knew you were going to.
Why did you go to me?
Jordan, what was kind of your thoughts when it came to the character of Bear and his nice guy entitlement angle? Because, man, I have thoughts.
I mean, I think, I'm going to probably reflect most people's opinions of Bear when I say he was the villain. Yes. Everything that happened was because of his insecurities, his cowardice, and his inability to take accountability for his actions the entire time. The fact that he made a wish, which could be innocuous. Oh, I wish this girl liked me. Okay, yeah, I'm sure lots of people have done that.
Yeah.
Right? And then it obviously goes terribly wrong. But by doing that, he's immediately taking away her autonomy. The fact that it's her decision to be with him. That's the whole point. This entire movie, in my opinion, is a metaphor for consent and SA, because he removed all of her autonomy, gone.
Yeah.
And now she's, what I can only assume, is possessed by some sort of entity that is not her. And it's moving despite the fact that she doesn't want to, and we see this throughout the film as she sort of flashes back, she kind of retains control of Nikki's body, and you'll see like flashes. And mind you, like huge props to the actress for that performance.
Oh my
She
God.
was incredible. She deserves the awards for that movie. Like absolutely amazing work from her. But when you see that character sort of flash back, and she's like terrified, and there's even a point where she says, "Kill me, please kill me," because she doesn't have a choice over her body. And if you look at, he's having sex with her, he's raping her.
Oh yeah.
The entire time, and she's clearly present under that. She can see what's going on, right? Because she's going insane. So the poor thing is absolutely getting the worst end of the stick, all because this guy didn't have the fucking nards to ask her out when she presented the opportunity on a platter to him. Hey, if you like me, now's the time to tell me. And that cowardly little bitch was like, "Oh no." And
he is very annoying.
He is. I hate him. Like
yeah.
I actually hate him across everyone in this movie. I don't hate anyone else. Even Ian's kind of annoying, but no, this guy, I can't stand him.
Everything he does is terrible.
And
Everything.
it's one like the title of this movie's Obsession. A lot of people have been pointing out to Inde, I hope I'm not butchering her last name, Navarrette, and her performance as Nikki, as she's obsessed. No, Bear is obsessed with Nikki from the start of the movie. Obsession applies to not just her, everyone, especially
it's
Bear.
everyone.
Bear is obsessed with her to the point where, yes, Jordan, he is willing to take her autonomy, all because he is obsessed.
No, so Jordan, you think that there is some kind of other being there? Because like I thought it was kind of strange that she wasn't just obsessed, but she almost seemed like she was also like in a way like a dog. Like, you know, like when you leave the house and the dog gets separation anxiety and
sure.
pisses on the floor or something. Like, there's more than just human obsession in there. There's something else going on. Because didn't she also eat her own shit in that scene?
So she definitely, the things that she was doing and saying were inhumane in a lot of inhuman in a lot of the cases. And for sure, there were parts where her voice was almost synthesized in post, right? Where she sounded like a demon. She didn't sound human.
Yeah.
And there were certain parts where, you know, I know there was a part where they did Uncanny Valley makeup on her. Maybe Brian can put up a shot of it. They did Uncanny Valley makeup on her in the scene to make her look when she's standing in the corner. And it looked incredible because it's mainly all practical effects, but it was definitely not human looking. So I would assume that she is possessed by some type of entity, even though we don't see it, which I was actually discussing with my partner earlier about the fact that we don't see the entity makes it scarier, sort of like the Blair Witch effect, right? It's like, it's what you don't see. It's the terror that kind of gets you because you're not sure, is this her? Is it not? It's this beautiful girl, but she's terrifying. So that makes it even more scary because the one thing that men covet the most, beautiful women, is now the thing they should be afraid of the most. And I think that goes hand in hand with folklore and everything throughout the world, that men are taught to fear beautiful women. And I think that's also an allegory for this, is that the most dangerous thing is a beautiful woman, right? Even though she had no control over any of the things that she did.
No, I mean, and I mean, for me, the scariest part of this film as the entity, so to speak, is when Bear calls the number on the back of the box of the One Wish Willow, and he gets this like customer service line of some guy who
He's a Gen Z guy.
He's Gen Z guy who's just, who's just like,
yeah, this is the number.
What do you need? Do you want to get rid of your wish? Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you want to talk to her? When he says, do you want to talk to her? And then he's like, who do you mean? Nikki. And then you hear that screaming, like she's in hell. Like that's hell. She's in hell screaming. That's who's the entity's replaced. Haunting shit. Just fucking terrifying. But, you know, to get back to my original point, I mean, Bear is the villain. He, you know, is so obsessed with this woman to the point where it's unhealthy. And it just kind of being around Bear, the whole movie, like everyone just kind of is like tired of his shit. I don't know about you. I just got the feeling that everyone's tired of his shit.
Well, what's interesting too is that I can't remember I don't have it up. The other main female character,
Sarah.
Sarah at the record store, or I'm sorry, guitar shop, is she's kind of into him, and he's blind.
She's obsessed with Bear.
She's obsessed with, and she's obsessed with Bear, and she's also obsessed with art school, like getting into art school. Like the whole idea of obsession is across the board with every character here.
Yeah, so he can't see the forest through the trees because his dick has found a direction in Nikki, even though Nikki couldn't make it any more clear that we're just buds, bud. Just buds.
I mean, they're all terrible. They're all terrible characters. Ian's terrible for not immediately telling him that they had already been hooking up. Sarah is terrible for making him come to at like 3 a.m. is calling this guy.
Yeah.
Why are you calling someone that's telling them at 3 a.m?
Yeah. Especially when like you can clearly see that Bear is now in a relationship with Nikki. I mean, they literally were plastering it all through the music store and everything like that. Like for Sarah to be like, okay, yeah, at 3 a.m, please come here now, or I'm coming to your house. Even though you just saw all the crazy shit that Nikki was doing, there's obsession there too. Yeah.
But I do think that at the beginning of the movie, because you don't want to create just a mustache twirler, right? So I do think at the beginning of the movie, between there's this thing in screenwriting called "Save the Cat." This one is literally the cat dies. So his pet dies, and we clearly see that he's on tons and tons of medication, and the movie obviously is not going to say in order to not other anybody that's on medication, just he's on medication, and
lots of medication.
So clearly he has some troubles like in the social world, and so I think at first the movie does want us to feel for him, but then as the time goes on, we realize, oh no, you are terrible. Because the scene when the entity is sleeping, Nikki can come through, the actual Nikki, and he says to her like something along the lines, and this is near the end of the movie, like, would it be so wrong for you to actually want to be with me? And it's just like, oh, that's now, there's no doubt he's just gone full, incel, toxic, evil man.
I mean, every choice he makes throughout the movie is self-centered. It's never for her. And mind you, the entire time that she's acting the way she's acting, he's upset not because she's trapped in her own body with no autonomy, but because of how it's affecting him. That's his only complaint the entire time is like, oh, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Oh, you're acting weird. He's still having sex with her, even though she's acting like a freaking Looney Tune. Who's gonna sleep with someone doing that? Still, like, there's something wrong with him to want to be with someone who's clearly mentally unwell, obviously. And she's self-harming. I mean, she's pissing and shitting all over herself. She's, eating the cat. I mean, the whole time he is a villain from start to finish. There's no redeeming qualities. And when I thought that there would be a redeeming quality, maybe at the end when he went to take the pills, nope, not even then, because he didn't take the pills so that she would stop suffering. He took them so he would stop suffering.
Yeah.
Terrible character the whole time. And the actor, I feel bad for him because everyone's going to think of Bear when they see him now.
Yeah, Michael Johnston's kind of screwed in terms of that. That's the actor who played Bear. I mean, I also thought, like, at the end, okay, he's going to realize this woman is suffering, and the only way I can save her is to kill myself. And he pussies out about that too. Bear really is the villain, because even when he finally sacrificed himself, even if you want to call it that, he kills himself. Nikki realizes what she did. She has to live with that. All the horrible things she did. So, I mean, snapping back out of it, it's all on her, and she has to deal with that.
See, I think in that case, like in my case, like for that, first and foremost, Bear was there when she killed Sarah. He helped her move the body.
Yep.
He's an accomplice. Secondly, I know she shot Ian, but technically she could have said Bear did. So if that was me and I woke up in a pile of bodies, I would have said he did it and then he killed himself. And I'm the lone survivor, is what I would have said. Because, I mean, what else are you going to do? She doesn't know what happened. You know,
Nope.
she's traumatized. She physically did it, but she didn't really do it. And she's the sole survivor, so she made it. And I put her on my good for her list last week, and everyone gave me a hard time about it because they're like, nothing's good for her. And I'm like, she lived.
She
made
lived.
it.
She's the ultimate final girl, you know, in that sense of went through the worst shit possible and
Well,
came
she's
out
never
on it.
going to be okay though.
Oh no, she's
No,
like
never.
they're one. I hope they never make a sequel to this. Like I really hope they don't. because I have a-
Obsession 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, yeah. I hope they never do a sequel to this movie because that would ruin it. Because you'd be wondering like, well, what happened to Nikki? You know, like that's the sort of thing that a studio would do is, you know, give you like a little cameo of here's Nikki, she's in the insane asylum because of what happened in the first movie. But I want to move on and just talk a little bit about kind of the mythology of how the magic here works.
That's
Right.
Good, because I have a lot of questions about this MacGuffin.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about the MacGuffin. Let's talk about the MacGuffin. What's the MacGuffin in this movie, John?
It's a wish stick, and here's my main question about this wish stick. They sell them in like, you know, certain bodegas, you know, certain shops, you know, where you can get like
Which stores?
probably a lot of rocks and you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, metaphysical shop.
Yeah.
yeah.
I got
And
one down the street from where I live. Like that's kind of, you know, they got those.
the thing is, if they work, how has the world not just been like blown up by now? Like some
Well, ruin
emo
the movie,
person,
John. Well done, John.
some emo kid goes, "I wish the world was over," and then the whole planet explodes. But
What I
Yeah.
don't get is why are they selling these things for $7?
That would, oh my God, Jordan, I thought the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute. These sticks that have the ability to grant you whatever the fuck you want, they're only $7.
$7? Like, up the price, friend.
I mean, if you buy a whole box, do you get a wish for each one?
No,
And-
you only get one
No.
wish. That's
One
the
per
deal.
person.
Oh, so if you ask for like a Snickers or something, you're fucked. You're just wasting on a fucking Snickers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you can't like wish for more wish sticks. Like you can't do that. It's not like like
you
a
kill
genie,
people?
you know.
Can you kill people?
I don't know if there's any quid pro
Probably.
quos like there were in Aladdin.
Yeah, there's no quid pro quos or certain provisos or
Can't
anything
bring
like
people
that.
back from the dead. Can't kill anybody, and can't make people fall in love. And you can't wish for more wishes.
But you are able in this one to, I guess, if you want to say, I mean, Nikki's not actually in love. See, that's the hard thing to say about this movie, because like Nikki is not actually in love with him.
The entity known as Nikki is
Yeah.
in love.
I don't
with
even
him.
think the entity is. I think it's mimicking what it thinks love is.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
a great way to put that, because that goes back to my question earlier of like, yeah, this is, if you as you hear in backrooms, like if you ask somebody to draw a horse and they've never seen a horse, but you gave them a description, they get a few things right. So this entity, like maybe Chat GPT'd it in hell what love is, and then tried to mimic it.
Yeah, yeah. I like the equivalency to backrooms, where like it's like the memory of a memory, where they get some things right, but it's not quite right.
I didn't see Backrooms yet, so I don't know what
Oh,
the
you
hell you're
didn't?
talking. No, I didn't. It's on my list. Obsession was the one I wanted to hit first, but Backrooms will be next. So I got to ask you all: what wish would you make if
Ooh.
you had a one wish willow?
Cure my fiance's cancer.
Yeah, that's an altruistic one.
I'm a villain, guys. I'm gonna say right now what I want, and that would be to have a Thanos, and I'd get rid of every rapist on the planet.
I think that's a good
I'd
wish.
Thanos them all.
But more rapists would come along, wouldn't
I'd Thanos the next ones too.
they?
Jordan just wants the ability to Thanos rapists.
Yeah, I'd Thanos.
That's
them all.
it. You don't want a one-time part. You want
Yeah, none of this
The ability.
falsely accused nonsense. It's no, the magic knows. You're
the magic nose.
You Look, get I had to Thanos, get her in the
mood, you know.
See ya.
Brian, please say that you would wish for like pizza Pringles or something so stupid.
Pizza-
after
no,
that,
I-
after those
I-
two things.
I don't know. I mean, I probably would wish for you know, health and financial stability and safety for my kids and family.
Those are
I think
four.
that's what most people
Those are
wish
four
for,
things.
right? Like,
I mean, that's the truth. I mean, maybe that's what I would wish for, because I'm like, okay, well, that's a tangible thing, and I can't see anyone get injured and or hurt, because that's the thing too. And this movie doesn't really do that. Like certain monkey paws type movies will make it where like, oh, you made a wish and here's what actually has to happen.
There are
you know,
repercussions to your.
there's repercussions. And like Ian makes a wish for $1 bajillion and it just rains from the sky. There's no repercussion to him other than like him getting shot in the head 5 seconds later by Nikki.
Right. No, in another story, that would be like blood money.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean, that would be stolen money. That would be money that like he would.
It never
then
went
pay
through the
for.
treasury,
Exactly.
so it's not real money. Yeah,
exactly.
It's
So,
just paper with dead presidents on it, but
Maybe
it's not
we just
actually.
didn't get to see the repercussions because he's got his brains blown out so
well,
fast.
well, I mean, Jordan, the money literally was raining from the sky. Like it wasn't even like.
Could you
he didn't
imagine
even-
being the cop that goes to investigate, goes to his house, and goes, "Hallelujah!"
Well, John, the cop going to this entire apartment complex is literally going to be like, I'm done being a cop after seeing this. Like,
Oof,
let's be
yeah.
honest here. You got Sarah's smashed face from getting bricked in the face at 3:00 in the morning. You've got buckets of cash in one apartment, literally like filled to the brim. You've got, a woman who's lost her fucking marbles because she was basically,
She's been unconscious for
she was a sex
a month.
puppet for
Yeah.
literally a month.
Yeah, possessed by some kind of demon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like she is covered in fake tattoos, smoking up like a chimney because her demon version of herself or possessed version of herself thinks that to be like Sarah is what Bear
Where the
really
fake
wanted.
tattoos threw me. Like I was like, oh, this bitch crazy.
Like she's
oh my
literally like
God.
chain smoking. Like I gotta be like Sarah because that's what Bear wants now. I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, when the detective comes in and sees this whole place, he's gonna be like, I'm done. Fucking done.
Now, I gotta say why the tattoos bothered me as much as they did. I have tattoos. I have had people copy my tattoos.
No way. Really?
Exact same place, exact same tattoo. Yes.
Jordan and I
More
have the
than one
same lower
person.
back tattoo.
More than one person, and and I confronted one about it because I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell,
Yeah.
It was
It
odd,
wasn't.
and
It wasn't
made
inspired.
me
It was the
feel like-
exact same one.
What'd you say?
It wasn't like inspired by your. Was it the exact same thing?
It was the exact same tattoo in the exact same place.
Weird.
Oh.
Weird.
That's some single white female shit right there.
Exactly. That's why I was like, girl, are you okay? Like, you got that from me. It's my tattoo. So where did you see it? Did you see it online? How did you get it? Like,
Yeah.
it was scary. So when I saw that she had drawn the tattoos, I was like, like, I remembered that. And I was like, oh my God, like terrifying.
She had done it with like Sharpie. Like that was the thing. It was like
Yeah.
a 5-second job with a Sharpie and just trying to look like Sarah because that's again what Bear wants now. But I mean, there are so many moments from this movie that like seriously, like I was like, holy shit. Jordan, you're our guest. What was like your favorite like holy shit moment in this movie?
I think the obvious answer is the car scene with the brick. So like skating over that, which I think is obviously like holy shit. When Sarah is sort of spread dead in the living room, she's fully naked, like sitting in the chair, and they just pan a shot to her once her poor body is sitting there like this demon has propped up this girl, presumably because she thinks that that's what Bear likes, or to show Bear that that's what happens if he likes someone. I don't know. We don't know because it never really gets said. But that was like, so I'm like, this poor girl's naked and dead over here. Oh my God. Like that upset me. But I guess maybe, top 3, when she gets herself in the face, like when she switches from the entity and she's like, this is not me, and then the entity hits her in the face to stop her, right? And she starts hitting herself in her own face. Like that was gnarly.
John, what about you? What was like your favorite like holy shit moment in this movie? There's a lot. There's tons.
I think it's when anytime Nikki is like that one dog who is vicious and you could be around it, but then all of a sudden you go to move and it snaps at you. Like especially the scene where he comes back and again, she's pissed herself. She has like shit on her face. He's like, oh God, what the hell? I need to go out. She goes, I'll come with you. Let me go shower. And the whole idea that she's in that shower, like everything's completely normal and he is having an existential break. And that screams that she does, she's such a good actress. Like, like from the shower.
She turns on a dime. Like
Yeah.
she literally goes from sweet innocent to menacing in 5 seconds.
And,
I've
like,
never
Less than
seen
5 seconds.
I've never seen anyone else in every horror movie I've ever seen. I've never seen someone switch that quick. Ever.
And I'm not saying that she's guilty and he's innocent, but when I say this, because it's the polar opposite, but we've all dated that one person, even if it's just a couple of days, where it's like, oh my, this person's gonna hurt me. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I don't want to say, and I don't want to disparage anybody with mental health issues. So please take what I say gently next. But I dated someone that was bipolar. That it was very similar switches where like everything's fine, and then bam, they're fighting, they're screaming, they're breaking things, and you're like, what happened? Like, and I fully understand that this is a mental, it's a mental health issue, but that's what it reminded me of, because I was like, ooh, and it was kind of like re-traumatizing me from when that happens, because when someone's loving you 1 second and then smashing things against the wall, and there's no switch, like there's no, like you didn't know, like what happened, what caused this, it's terrifying being around somebody like that. And that's what this reminded me, obviously on a much grander, most horrific scale, but that's what it reminded me of from my experiences from the past.
Especially since so many people don't know like medical issues, right? Like, most people are like, oh, I don't want to go to a psychologist, I ain't go to no shrink. So they don't know that this person has bipolar disorder, so they just think they must hate me, and it's like, no, it's not that. It's so yeah, it can be very scary.
It's an illness for sure.
Well, I think that is some of the best horror movies pull from a grain of truth. And I mean, as you said, like John, I think everybody has dated someone at least once who wasn't all 100% firing on all cylinders. And
we've all done it. I mean, that's part of growing up, is going through those experiences and realizing, yeah, that's a little bit too much. But pulling one little thread from that and saying, how can we amp that up to an 11? That is the textbook of how to make a really good horror movie. Every classic horror movie pulls from that, whether it be Nightmare on Elm Street saying, here's a story about a kid in Southeast Asia who thought his dreams were going to kill him and had a coffee pot in his bedroom. That's a real thing. And extrapolate that into Freddy Krueger. Same deal with this, right? Everyone's been in a situation where maybe you really like someone, or maybe you dated someone who was kind of not all there. And it's like, how can you amplify that? Now, my favorite scene in this, like the holy shit scene for me, the one that did it was the party scene. So like, Jordan, you got the tail end of it when she like smacks her face and is like bleeding from the face. For me, it was everything leading up to that. The monologue.
Well, yeah, she has this monologue that I when I was listening to it, I was like, is she saying what I think she's saying? Which is in essence that Hansel and Gretel, siblings, are fucking.
She did it twice too. She did it at the end as well. She gave a weird monologue.
Yeah, but like that monologue, what was about? She wrote it about Hansel and Gretel having sex. That's the monologue, and it was like delivered in a very like horrifying way. And that kind of stopped everyone in the party, like, okay, what the fuck is going on with Nikki?
Well, maybe it's like a Pornhub thing where they get, Hansel, you're my stepbrother.
No,
here we go.
No, man. This was not
sibling.
that. This was not that at all. And it's interesting because like Nikki in the beginning of the movie said like, oh, she wants to be a writer, and so she's showing her writing as this possessed person, and it is horrifying on so many levels. And then what happens after that is this very tension-filled, disturbing thing with the kiss the person on your left. Because it's a moment where we're in the audience going like, okay, this woman's fucking nuts, right? This woman's, the last scene she was in, she shit and pissed on the carpet. And we don't know what she's gonna do if Bear has to kiss Sarah, who's in the game, and just the camera locked on her face doing,
She's great at that lip work.
that lip like this
That
really
pouty
weird.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a cartoon pouty face though. Yes, it's a disturbing Yeah, Jordan, you got it down pat.
Jordan, you got it best. Yeah.
You got it best. It's this cartoon pouty face that something's going to happen after that. And what happens after it is she physically moves Sarah. And it is one of the scenes for me that stuck out as like, okay, this guy knows how to scare me. Because it was so tension filled that then when you get the payoff of, Sarah gets bricked in the face, it's I don't want to say earned because I don't want to see that character get bricked in the face, but it's like, okay, everything was bubbling towards this.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant filmmaking.
It reminds you of being at that party with like that old SNL sketch, the Needlers, the couple that should be divorced. It's like, and you could see them just passive aggressively bickering at each other, and you're like, I'm gonna go to the kitchen for some more shrimp cocktail because I can't be in this room anymore. But yeah, Brian, I'm surprised you didn't say the most disturbing thing in that scene, and that's those motherfuckers don't know you can't take the Jenga block off the top.
I kind of was paying attention to other things, but well, I mean, I don't know.
I saw that, and I did the Leonardo DiCaprio point. I'm like, no,
John, these are Gen Z folk. Okay, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They can bear. You got one guy who can't even express his feelings and ask a girl out. Okay, you think that they're playing by the real rules of Jenga? And I've never seen a Jenga game where there's something you have to do. Jordan, have you ever played Jenga like that, where you have to pull a brick and you have to do something?
I played strip Jenga once.
Okay,
I
well,
don't
that's
know
something.
if that counts.
I don't think that counts.
It's just, Brian, it's just a game and an excuse for people to pet and kiss each other. They're young.
Yeah, I get that.
But that whole scene where she got in between, moved her out of the way, that's something that 13-year-old girls do. That's like a junior high, a don't look at my man type thing. It was so funny because I looked at my partner during that scene and I would have been like, kiss her.
Yeah.
It's just a dumb game.
Who cares? You know what I mean?
But I think what makes it work for me is the absence of music, the absence of the when you watch a horror movie, you're kind of always expecting the scary music that's going to pop in or the jump scares. There really wasn't this. Everything was atmospheric, so that even when you get those moments where we're locked on Nikki and she's doing this pouty face and it's stuck on her for a good couple seconds, there's no music there because it lets us, the audience, breathe in that tension, going, what is this crazy person going to do next?
And the silence makes you anticipate that tonal impact that you're going to get from the jump scare, right? So it'll be silence and where you're like, oh, here it comes. And then, and those, the sound engineering for, I think the director did all of it, didn't he? Did he do all that? All the editing?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he had people in on it.
Because the sound was very good. When there was sound, when there wasn't.
Yeah.
I think the use of sound and then the absence of sound were equally applicable in this, right? So again,
the editor was Curry Barker.
It plays
right.
to the anxiety of horror, whether it's silence or whether it's that tonal, whatever it might be. It worked. It worked throughout the entire film.
Not to talk about something different because it is related, but I hate this in movies. I hate the production value of the friend's apartment. Is it his friend's apartment? Is that, or is it like a frat house or something?
No, that's his friend's
his buddy's place, right?
Yeah, his buddy's
so
place.
He works at a record store, and I've got no sense that he has a rich dad. So how do they have this gigantic?
That's always the thing in movies.
Yeah,
it's
because
always a big.
You need to have a big
wherever
set.
they can film, right?
Yeah, and it's just come on.
My personal
probably
favorite,
$10 an hour selling guitars.
My personal favorite is when everyone is either in marketing, that is their job, or they're a graphic designer. What's your job? I'm a graphic designer. Oh, and you live in New York City and you have a penthouse apartment. I'm a graphic designer.
Every
Fuck
time.
you.
Oh, I'm a struggling single mother waitress, but here I am in my spatial 6-bedroom house that I
It's like-
inherited. Like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
marketing's also a great excuse for like, are you working on that new Kellogg Frosted Flakes campaign? And it seems organic, the product placement, you know?
Well, I think it explains like why these characters can literally not go to a job about 3 times throughout the movie and do whatever the movie requires that they do. Like,
I don't know
well,
if you guys noticed
yeah.
this, but it got me at the music store. They all work at this music store, which absolutely made me cackle at one point because, mind you, it's this massive music store. There's like 6 employees. Like, what are they all doing there? Like, you don't need that many employees. They're all standing around. But the best part is when the dad came over because Sarah brought the envelope, like, oh, let's open the envelope and let's see if I got in. And it's sort of like happening in the background. And she's like, oh, I didn't get in. And he's like, well, better luck next time. Get back to work, is what he said to her. What's she doing? The other employees were literally just standing around. Well, you didn't get into that college. Get back to work. And
You got
so
time to lean.
pointless.
Jordan, you got time to lean. You got time to clean.
Not like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't make it here. Let's go, I'll take you to lunch. Well, whatever. Get back to work.
Listen,
like, doing
tubas
what?
and electric
Everyone's
guitars
standing
aren't going to
around.
sell themselves, okay? They're not going to sell themselves. Sarah has to be there to go and, sell all of those tubas.
And how busy is this music store in like a
There's no one
small
there.
Ohio town or wherever they are, right? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
small
I do-
Ohio town / Southern California.
Fun sidebar. I worked at a place called Perkins when I was much younger. And for people that don't live in Pennsylvania, imagine your own area wherever you're at. That's like a family-run restaurant with like average to below average food, chain place, that kind of thing. And I was given a book and they went, hey, here's all the things you need to do, because I was a host. Like, if people aren't coming in, you don't need to seat them. Like, this is the stuff you do to like clean up. And I just remember, I'm like, okay, I'll just do this stuff because that's what I was told to do. And I was running one of those like engineless vacuum cleaners, that just kind of like suck things up off the ground. And somebody's like, ugh, driving for a promotion, huh? Like another employee. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, nobody ever vacuums. And I'm like, what are you trying to like work really hard? I'm like, they just told me this is what I'm supposed to do, so I'm doing it.
I was told to clean up
Yeah.
when there's no one here. Like,
I was like,
we're at a restaurant.
I was like Chad, I just had to live like, all right, John, just do these things when nobody's here. Okay.
I never worked food service and glad I never did.
I love cooking, but man, I hate cooking professionally.
Yeah,
my own kitchen, please. That's
Yeah, no, I get that. So this movie obviously, like, is a progression of this poor woman being, I'd call it, taken advantage of. Do we want to discuss like the ending of this and how it kind of goes off the fucking rails? Because it does kind of go from like, okay, this woman's crazy to holy shit
Holy
in
shit.
11.
Yeah.
Like in the last
I mean, we kind of
15,
have.
and we already have,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, ultimately Bear realizes I need to stop this. And, he goes back to the metaphysical store. And I love the fact that he finds the person who's got it, and he's just very nonchalant, like, oh, I already used my wish. Like,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you only do get one because
you only get one. And the guy, this friend's like, well, I can't give you mine. I already used mine, And I'm like, well, why are you still working at the metaphysical shop then? If you
I
already
like the
used
guy
her?
when he walks in, he's like, you can't come in here with that energy, man.
You can't come in. Yeah, that guy. You can't come in here with that energy. The energy's too
It's too early, man.
early for that,
Don't
man.
come in here with that.
Yeah. Although I will slight this movie in terms of casting for that character. That guy should have been like long haired, with beard, and not looking like a guy who came out of the Gap, because the guy kind of looks like he came out of the Gap.
I'm picturing Adam Sandler from The Hot Chick when he has the cameo at the store and
Yes.
he has the dreads.
Yes, that is what I'm picturing, but they didn't.
Thank you, Jordan, for that hot chick reference.
You're welcome.
We haven't had that or wrestling reference. John, you got to get
I'm
that
full
in
of 'em.
somewhere.
Oh, well, okay. The tattoos. When they had Undertaker versus Undertaker at SummerSlam 1994, the guy that got to play fake Undertaker didn't have all the sleeved tattoos Undertaker had. So Jerry Lawler, who was an announcer and also an artist, had to paint on all the tattoos with slightly permanent ink so he didn't sweat it off, so that they had the same level of tattoos, similar to the tattooing we saw in this movie. Bang.
Fantastic.
I wasn't going to share, but you...
Nice.
Fantastic.
I was like, that's
Fantastic.
too much of a sidebar, but Brian, you called me out, so I had
did.
to bring
I did. So ultimately, Bear has to realize that he either has to have someone negate the wish with another wish, or he has to kill himself. So, like, that's his option. And as we talked about earlier, the wish didn't work because his buddy Ian wishes for $1 million that rains from the sky. And he tries to kill himself, but it doesn't work. And yeah, because we didn't mention this, Nikki uses the wish stick to wish for Bear to feel the same way. So, like, we get 5 seconds in which Bear and the possession of Nikki finally are the same. And we're like, oh, is this movie going to end on some sort of demented, like, yay, the love is here, kind of like that weird Dave Franco movie Together?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was getting that vibe. I was like, this is like the movie Together with...
And then 3 seconds later, you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, you're like, oh, never mind. The dude took pills. He's going to die.
That could have been interesting. It could have been like the ending of AI with Haley Joel Osment before they ruined it with the aliens coming, where the boy he's a program. He's obsessed with the mother and just stares at her until his like battery cell runs out. I could have just seen, Nikki and Bear just lying in bed and pissing and shitting themselves and starving or dying of dehydration because all they want to do is look in each other's eyes until they die.
Kind of like the end of Nosferatu, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nikki wakes up, realizes holy shit, and the movie cuts to end. I gotta say, this movie was a fucking trip and a half. Absolute fucking trip and a half.
It's gonna be one of my top films for the year. I mean,
yeah,
I was trying to explain it to a friend and just saying like, what other movies are like it, and I was like, oh shit, I don't know what other movies are like it. I couldn't even think of one to compare.
I've got not a movie. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jordan.
I'm
glad you brought that up. You transitioned into, you must be like in my brain, because I literally had one thing I wanted to say about how I think, and I'm curious if other people have figured this one out too. I don't want to call out Curry Barker and say he ripped this movie off of something, but there is another media that shares a very similar story, almost verbatim. And that is a episode of Tales from the Crypt from 1991.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. Okay. So there's an episode from Tales from the Crypt called Love to Death. It came out on June 15th, 1991. And it stars Mariel Hemingway and Andrew McCarthy. The plot of that episode is almost the same as this. Andrew McCarthy's character is a screenwriter in Los Angeles. He's in an apartment complex, and he is not necessarily obsessed. I mean, he ends up becoming obsessed with his neighbor, played by Mariel Hemingway, who it's more lust than anything else. He doesn't like want to have a relationship with him. He's horny. And the mythical thing here isn't the One Wish Willow. It is the landlord of the apartment complex, who is this skeezy guy who has pictures of women all throughout his entire room. And he gives Andrew McCarthy a love potion that in essence turns Mariel Hemingway into the same sort of creature as Nikki does. Nikki in this movie. Like, we're talking down to loss of identity, loss of agency, because all this woman wants to do is just fuck Andrew McCarthy to death.
Who
Hence
doesn't?
the title. I don't know. This was Andrew McCarthy in 1991, so
Yeah,
not bad.
So there aren't any other movies that are like this.
Well,
not movies, TV shows. But I mean, one thing I will say,
that's cool though that there was an episode. I love Tales from the Crypt.
I love it too. But one thing I will say is, like, there's a lot of beats that are similar that almost cross. Kind of I'm not sure if someone didn't watch
what
that.
movies could you put in the same category? Like, hey,
Well,
what?
Not movies, but
I've got another TV. Well, before Tales from the Crypt, there was a Twilight Zone episode called The Chaser, which is a guy goes to a specialty shop and gets a formula that makes a woman obsessed with him. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just a thing. Like, I immediately noticed. I'm like, you kind of watched Love to Death. You watched that episode and then wrote this. Which, hey, I mean, that's fine. The episode's like
Great artist steal. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing is what Barker does in this film, which is different, is Love to Death is played for laughs. Like, it is comical. That's what Tales from the Crypt was good at doing, right? Yeah. Mixing horror and comedy together. This is not that. There is nothing really funny about this movie. It is horrifying. And that's
I think the only funny part was the opening sequence. There was a gag at the beginning.
What with the oh yeah.
They're sitting at the diner and the waitress, and then you realize that he's talking to a waitress. There's a couple quick little, just sort of lighthearted, nothing crazy. It's certainly not a comedy.
I thought you were going to say the trivia. Little,
just like banter with the guy, here and there. But it's certainly not. And they say the difference between, the only difference between horror and comedy is the music, right?
It's true.
So, I mean, if we add like a laugh track to this and then put some funny sounds, maybe we could turn it into a comedy, but it's definitely a horror.
I did.
When he sees the door duct tape, you hear like, like, whoa.
Yeah. Ruh-roh.
Now, I did want to ask one thing kind of before I get to reviews. In terms of Nikki's character, the only other person I could think of who had me as like on edge was Pearl.
Oh.
Yeah. Mia Goth from Pearl. What are, Jordan, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on kind of like that character from Pearl compared to Nikki's kind of mania? Because I think it's different, but they're all kind of the same
I love Pearl, and I think Mia Goth did such a good job with those films. And the only thing I will say is that, especially with award season coming up, if this actress gets nominated when Pearl didn't, that's gonna rub me the wrong way, because she did, and we all know that they notoriously snub horror, right? But her performance in Pearl was fantastic, right? Like that crazy, and the scarecrow scene, like stuff like that, really does kind of coincide with Nikki's character here. So I do see the parallels like that. But I will say, I think, oh man, maybe Evil Dead Rise. Remember the redhead in that?
Oh shit, yeah.
That kind of gave
Mommies
me...
with the maggots now.
Yeah, a little bit. You right? You feel that a little bit of her in there?
Yeah. John, what do you think? Do you think there are parallels to Pearl and Nikki in this film?
To a degree, I would say Pearl is more self-obsessed, and like hers just comes from straight sociopathy, not from like a wish gone wrong, So
I honestly, I loved Pearl. Like, that's my favorite out of that whole series is Pearl. But I think, and I understand if Inde Navarrette got an award nomination and won, I understand her winning this over Mia Goth. And the reason being is that Pearl is at that insanity throughout the entire movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, she has moments when she's normal, quote unquote. But she's kind of always a little off. Nikki goes through moments when you're like, oh, she's okay now. She's just obsessed with this guy. And then immediately on a dime switches. Like going from... Oh, go ahead.
I think it's that they both have personality disorders, or the traits of personality disorders. So I think that's where the parallels lie, like psychologically speaking. Like if you look at Pearl, it's narcissism. And with Nikki, it's, demon entity. But it has
obsession.
Traits of sort of like very immature, like a childlike almost, and then terrifying. And I think that bounce between innocence and terrifying that kind of we do see with bipolar, things like that, I think it's more the personality disorders that are shining through that are within that same cluster. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, for me, like Nikki in this was really jarring. And like one that I'd never have seen anything to that extent. Like, to go from one extreme to the other in film, I've never seen that before. This was a first. The only one I could think of is Possession. That's the only other movie I could think of, the movie Possession, if you've ever seen that film. That's
single,
a classic.
There's single white female, but that's different.
No,
there's
but
there's nothing mystical.
It's the switch.
Yeah.
It's the switch. It's I'm forgetting the name.
Or
of the
I'm sorry,
actress.
Fatal Attraction is what I meant. Yeah,
But even with Fatal Attraction,
you know who did a
there's
really good
build.
switch? Actually, you know who did a really good
Who?
switch, accents and everything. Jessie Buckley in Bride.
Oh yeah, you're right. That switch does happen throughout the entire movie.
Very impressive.
Jumping between, being the bride and being, basically Mary
The
Shelley.
other girl,
Mary Shelley,
she did a very good job with that.
Yeah.
So, and it was two accents, so she was switching back and forth really, really quickly, and that was super impressive. I do still think that the girl who played Nikki should absolutely get nominated.
She should, if she doesn't win an Oscar. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if she didn't win an Oscar because it's horror, and we've talked about before on multiple episodes about how horror makes all the money, but no, we're not going to give you anything on award season. But I can't think of another person who had to go through that level of switch multiple times throughout a movie, to that extreme. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I hope they at least recognize her with a nom.
I'd hope so. Well, with that said, I do want to get to some reviews because I got some reviews for this movie. Again, for those who are unfamiliar, the review section of our podcast is where I go usually onto Letterboxd. I'd love it if I had, people who listen to this podcast or watch it give me your reviews of stuff we're covering. So if you want to get in on that action, do me a favor and subscribe to our newsletter. The link for it's in the description of this episode, and you too can let us know what you think about a movie that we're covering. There's that. But these reviews, Jordan, John, you have not seen them at all, right?
Nope.
You don't know what the hell I'm going to show you. So I didn't find negative ones because honestly, it's kind of hard to find a negative review of this movie. But let's start with review number 1. Amazing movie about violating someone's autonomy and the utter horror that you deserve when you do that.
True that.
Yeah. There's a reason it has 8,171 likes. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. Bear's really the piece of shit behind this movie, and he really is the villain. And he kind of gets everything that he ever wanted, right? He gets everything he ever wanted and more.
All he had to do was ask her out.
Yes.
She handed him the opportunity on a silver platter.
But, well, let's be honest here. There was no way in hell that Nikki was going to say, yes, I will go out with you. It had already been kind of established later in the movie that, like, she viewed Bear as, like, a brother.
Then that's even worse that he made her do it anyway.
Exactly. That's the whole point. It's not even like there was a shred of any sort of relation. It ain't going to happen, bud. Like that's what it was going to be. So yeah, makes it more worse. All right. You ready to go to review number 2?
All right.
Review number 2. This is like the boy version of buying an Etsy witch spell gone wrong.
Okay.
They cracked down on the Etsy witches. They cracked down. It was.
Is that a real thing?
Oh, they were definitely a thing, but it was filled with scammers pretending to do it. So it was actually harming the witches who do it because all the scammers were down, pretending, and the witches who actually, believe in the things that they do were, being overshadowed. So then it hurt everybody because then they banned all of them from Etsy. So I think that personally, and the witches are going to hate me for this, I think they're all charlatans.
You're like, real witches ain't going to sell their spells on Etsy.
No, of course not.
Well, see, that's, when you buy something that you don't actually want, that's regretsy.
That's regretsy. Well, I was going to say, you can very much tell that this was legit because, Jordan, as you had said, they only charged $7 for this magic stick.
$7 for the wishing willow.
Yeah, you can tell that they aren't capitalists at the wishing willow company.
Yeah, the demons don't care about a profit.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah. We want your soul. Like, that's really what we want.
Demons not caring about a profit just doesn't make sense because all the demons that are at the top of every CEO, that's all they care about.
Bingo. Let's go to review number 3. The audacity of Bear to ask, what's so bad about being with me after putting Nikki through every circle of hell imaginable.
That's what I said. Yeah. Yeah, that's where he's there's no redeeming him. I mean, we kind of knew that already.
Out to meet another girl, mind you.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, I can't. Bear has a punchable face. I want to say
poor
it right
actor.
now.
He's so screwed now. Everyone's gonna remember him as the douchebag who raped poor Nikki.
You'll be like, oh yeah, what was the last thing you were in? Obsession. Oh, cool. Who'd you play? I don't want to talk about it.
I own the music store.
I
Andy Richter. No.
You're Andy Richter. Oh well, I was the guy. I was Ian. Oh, was that? Oh, that was the guy who got the $1 million. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like the poor guy that played Joffrey Baratheon. Like he's fucked.
Yeah.
He's him forever.
Same way with what's his face who played Draco Malfoy. Although he's tried to get out. All right, let's go to our last review of the episode. I say this as a bartender who works at a bar that does trivia. Do not do trivia. Do not get into it. Do not make a ritual out of it with your friends. Answer no questions, none. Trivia is a disease, a sickness. Week after week, Wednesday rolls around and I have to watch helpless as people conflate the recollection of facts with a purchase on truth. If you do trivia, what happens in this movie happens to you.
What the fuck?
This problem with trivia, my God.
Now, John, you've done some trivia. You've hosted some trivia before, right?
Oh, yeah, I do host trivia.
Yeah,
and I love doing it on the other end too. No, it's fine.
It's fine. I love the fact that they said, like, if you do the trivia, what happens in this movie happens to you. Like, how many trivia nights do you go to where a group of trivia friends are like, oh yeah, this one guy, he really likes her, and oh yeah, he gets, he doesn't come back the week after because he ended up using a wish stick that turned her into a possessed woman who was obsessed with him and ended up killing
everybody knows
the
that
other
about
friends.
trivia night.
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that you never do that. That's why you don't do trivia. Fucking hell, man. Oh shit. I just, out of all of the like Letterboxd reviews, that one just stuck out to me the most. I was like, that's insane. Out of everything,
somebody hates their job.
You really hate trivia. Maybe you shouldn't be a bartender then.
Yeah,
that works at a place that does trivia.
I've never
what
done
is
Jeopardy
trivia,
if not just trivia. It's like the most fun ever. But I'm a nerd, so
I love Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I've never done trivia before. I imagine it's not as horrible as this person says it is, though. Just answering fucking questions.
I had one of my favorite rounds that all the people there hated was it Oppenheimer or RoboCop? And it's like worked for OCP, and if you, it's like, was that RoboCop or Oppenheimer? It's like fun stuff like that.
That's fun. Yeah. That's fun. Well, Jordan, we've talked a lot about obsession. I got obviously to end this episode. I want to ask you, what are some new things going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, I got some things in the works that I'm pretty excited about. I think we'll probably talk about that on the next episode. Just for, just to keep it under wraps right now. But you can see me on all the social media places. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I've got the threads now. I just made a threads. So
I noticed that. I've been trying to comment on your threads, build your threads out.
My threads, there's only a couple hundred people that I don't think they know I'm there yet. I'm just enjoying the privacy for now.
Yep. Yeah. John, what about you? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Just getting the YouTube channel back up and running. I will be doing some trivia here and there if you're in the Pittsburgh area. Want to go out to New Kensington? Yeah. But yeah, still also looking to see or hear back if I got into a play. So yeah. We'll see
I didn't know you were doing a play.
Well, I did an audition. We'll see.
Okay, what's the play?
It's like old radio show type stuff. So yeah, it's a series of sketches, and you do it like the old 30s radio shows.
I mean, I can think of no one else who can do the old radio show
transcontinental voice.
Yes, transcontinental. You've done it. Like, you're the only person I know who can do a very good transcontinental.
Dateline 1924. Everyone is doing the Charleston. Lucky Lindbergh has hit the.
If you don't get in there, then what the hell? Yeah, it's like Dick Tracy. Cool. How what's going on over at J-Dub's Video Nasties? Anything new coming out there?
So I've had a lot going on, but I will have my Ladybugs episode coming out, and hopefully very soon, right after that, an episode on Pleasantville. And
Nice.
the
Wait,
idea-
Ladybugs as in like Jonathan Brandis Ladybugs?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just watched that recently because we hadn't seen it in 20 years.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh,
Bad for him, that poor guy.
I
I
want to
felt
marry
bad for
your
it.
mother, even though she's 30 and I'm 104.
Whoa, this movie's gonna feel really, really wrong in like 5 years. Jordan, where can they find you at on the internets?
So I'm on the TikToks, the Instagram, I got the Facebook, I got the YouTube, and I got the Threads.
At Jordan the Grey Witch, right?
Jordan the Grey Witch, that's right.
Sweet. John, where can they find you at?
Facebook, Instagram, and most importantly, at YouTube for J-Dub's Video Nasties.
Nice. And of course, if you have loved this episode, please do me a favor and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with, I don't know, that one guy that really is hung up on somebody, and you're trying to save them so they don't become like fucking Bear in this movie. Okay, save them because it's gonna be bad. Just gonna be bad. And of course, if you want to, you can go and follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice by going to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. You can go there, subscribe to us so you never miss an episode. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, thank you so much for doing that. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and let me know down in the comments, what did you think of Curry Barker's Obsession? And with that said, we will see you next time.
Support independent horror.